Hey everybody, BlastCapBadger here. So, before I jump in, there's still a huge amount of y'all that don't subscribe, but you keep coming back to the channel and keep watching stuff. I don't know what else to do except tell you that you should like, share, comment, subscribe. And then hit the real subscribe button, call the notification bell so you get videos when I post them up. And then, on top of that, comment down below. What are your thoughts on whatever it is I do? And what are your thoughts on me? I love to see people's thoughts on me. I love it. So anyway, let's jump into it. So, this is from AZEAL, one of our friends on YouTube. SWAT team officer talks about his job in VR. Boy, oh boy. This is probably going to be pretty heavy. Because being SWAT is not too much different from being infantry in the Army. It's not too much different. The only difference is that, you know, they have a more specific role versus like if you're infantry. But it's most of the same tactics, most of the same weapons and gear. And Bub is tough. And I've known a couple SWAT guys in my time. I've served with them. So anyway, let's jump in.
Well, it's hard to find words when you're given 1 second to establish what has happened. It's your friend. Fix it. They're dying. Solve the problem of what just happened. Make sure they don't come back and do it to you. Find witnesses. Make sure the threat doesn't re-escalate. As of this month, I will be going on 4 years active SWAT deployment and approximately 8 years of active law enforcement duty.
What was your experience before it?
Well, interesting you'd say that. Beforehand, I had looked into doing the military, which always chaps some asses. Before going in, I had recruiters come to my high school and say, hey, you know, you're in pretty decent shape. You're interested in this. What do you want to do when you grow up? Like, well, I want to help people. Quick aside, the whole, you know, seeing superheroes growing up, see Batman with his utility belt and everything, and no superpowers, not being able to fly all that, but he had these cool things that he could always solve problems with. It's like, that'd be a cool thing to do. I want to be that guy that has all these tools to help people. And I told the recruiter, and it's like, oh, well, you should, I think he was the Air Force, so you should join the Air Force, PJs, parajumpers. It's like, oh, yeah, it's cool, but I did wrestling and stuff in high school, and I got a blown out knee. It's like, ah. And I talked further and found out because of my physical condition and other applicants coming in, I was going to get run over. I said, nah, that's not going to work. So I let that go. My cousin talked to me. He was in the Air Force as a security forces MP or military police in the Air Force. Like, dude, just go to college, do whatever you need to do your thing. That always pisses off my military friends, but I did. I got a degree in criminology and criminal justice. I found out later that's fucking worthless. I should have pursued some sort of other degree sought by the FBI or any other agency that would hire you, because I learned that criminal justice or criminology is only sought after if you're going to be teaching those criminal studies. So after I graduated, I applied at my local police department, which I was very fortunate because I think in like a close to 70 to 100 mile radius, we were the only local SWAT team that would respond to multiple areas. And I thought, well, if I have a chance in hell joining the guys that help people, this is my shot. So I applied at my dream department, and by some divine miracle, I had the best physical times. I had decent standard questions. They give you a written test you have to pass in order to become a law enforcement officer, and I did okay. Like, I wasn't a genius, but apparently there was a study guide and some guys scored like hundreds, but they just absolutely tanked in the physical stuff. I did great physical, did, you know, okay, like 80s out of 100. Passing, I think, was 65 or something, so I was happy where I was at. So they saw my history, they saw my background in college, and they said, okay, cool, well, this guy looks, you know, promising. They gave me a conditional offer and said, hey, where you at? Well, I graduate college next year. And they said, okay, cool. We'll continue to get your degree. And once you get it, we're going to call you back in May, which is the latter part of your graduation. And I said, okay, cool. That sounds great. But the call never came. I thought, what the hell's going on? Like, these guys said they wanted me. And funny story, I'm walking down the police parking lot to go drop off my packet for my second time application. And the guy, he was a sergeant at the time, became a captain, calls and says, hey, what are you doing right now? And I'm in the parking lot getting ready to apply for the second thing. Oh, hell, you can burn that damn thing. Come on inside. We're going to talk to you. We need you to have this job. Okay, so I walk inside after all the time he had waited. Eventually, this sergeant said, "Oh yeah, we just kind of lost your paperwork, got shuffled around, and we just didn't realize you'd graduate. We thought you graduated this year in May, and we're just hurting for people. We just need to know if you could do it. We just need this. Well, it's okay. Yes, I mean, yes, I'm not going to turn this down." I was like, "Okay, cool. Well, we're glad you're stupid and you came in because it saves me a lot of time hunting you down. So just go ahead and sign all these paperwork that I was supposed to actually come to your house and have you do, and we'll just be done with it." So I send the paperwork. It gets sent off. There's a couple of months delay. They send me off to I don't know how to call it other than the future retirement place. They take your physical, they do your lung capacity, your heart rate, your basically how your body's composed at the time you're hired. They say, "Oh, you're great. Okay, cool. You'll be a great candidate. You can retire in 20 years or do whatever, and you can draw retirement and all that." Great. Send it off. Come back almost 4 months later, and they hire me on in May of 2014. Which was awesome. It was my dream job. I managed to get in. They said, "Hey, go ahead, go in here, do your swear-in thing, and we're just going to move you right along. It'll be great. We're happy to have you on. We're glad you're here. Let's go through this." Cool. I'm getting closer to my step. I ask my usual questions. Uh, not to cherry pick, but how does somebody land up on the SWAT team? I'm just curious, poking the bear, wanting to see what it takes to join the team that, if somebody were to call the police and the police had to call somebody to really, make a difference and help people and get in there and absolutely solve the problems that other police couldn't do. How does one, get in there? Oh, that's real easy. You can do 1 year of active military deployment with infantry engagements and different types of combat deployments and have that sort of team tactical atmosphere, and then you got to be just a fit to a certain level, and then after all that, you got to go through this rigorous training process of shoot, don't shoot. You got to run and shoot. You got to get your heart rate up. You got to just do all this crazy stuff. I'm like, actually, kind of, it sounds easy from all the stuff I've been doing to myself for the last 4 years, but go ahead and keep telling me. So they tell me all this stuff. I make a friend who's on the team. He's like, "Yeah, you got to do this, go through this, go through this." It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, no, that sounds good. That's what I want to do. So then my career kicks off, and one of the things I didn't know was when you get on SWAT, it's not so much a promotional test as much it is a what's a good analogy here? Dodgeball. So if you're playing dodgeball in elementary school, they line all the kids up. Oh, sorry. They line all the kids up, and they go, "Okay, you're a captain and you're a captain. Pick your team." And survival of the fittest kind of sets in. They go, "Oh, I want Jimmy. He's got big ass shoulders and just giant arms. He can throw balls really fast." "Well, yeah, I want Kyle because Kyle's really fast and he plays baseball and he can dodge the dodgeballs." "Yeah, well, I want Tiffany because she's got a mean ass underthrow and that's what it turns into, is what are your characteristics and what makes you stand out and what would make you an asset to the team versus being a liability. All the politics thrown out the window. It doesn't matter if you're a 175-pound female that's 5'8", or a 200-pound guy who's 6 foot tall. If you can't meet the demands of the team, you just don't make it, which was beautiful in a way because a lot of them are just like, "Hey, look, dude, I don't know how to tell you this. You're worthless. Get out. She can drag 2 of our bodies out. If we get shot, you could barely do a squat with your own body weight. Just, we don't need you," which was really neat. But it's also very competitive because that ties into your law enforcement background, because you have to remember, you can't just go, "I do," and then they say, "Hey, you're on the SWAT team. Get in the Bearcat. Here's a machine gun. Here's a flak vest. Here's ballistic helmet. Here's riot gear control stuff. Here's a shield. Here's multi-baton grenade launcher," which is basically a grenade that launches like wooden, they call them batons. They hit the ground, skip, and they flare out and hit shins. So it was competitive for a long time, and there was some damn good competitors I had to deal with. It took me, I've always joked, it took me 3.5 attempts to get on, because the first time I went on, they had a target, and I'm not ashamed. I iced everything, but they had a target of a guy with a short, high and tight plaid shirt and blue jeans, but he had a sheriff's star on the side of his hip, and you wouldn't see it unless you looked for it. But the target was them standing there aiming right at you, and unless you were looking at the hip, you wouldn't see it, which standard procedure for us is you have to always have a chain badge on you when you're working the job. So I think that flunked out like 80% of us out of like a class of 14 guys that went in to apply, and it just tanked us all. This is only my own fault. I can't push it on somebody else. It was strenuous. The next test, there was somebody else, him and I tied. He had more seniority and he had a little bit more experience and time to prove himself. The half attempt I always joke about was we did everything and I was set from what I was told to be brought into the team then. But the guy in the back was a sniper and they were looking for an entry position. And the sniper went, I want to do entry. So they cycled the guy from the sniper position back in entry and they had to call all of us and say, yeah, we fucked up. We didn't put this position out to the team and nobody got a chance to cycle. So sorry. Which was fine. I get it. At this point, this is my, I guess, technically third rejection. But on the next go around, I aced it. I hit every target. I had actually pursued and tackled a murder suspect. I had been involved in a couple of shootings where I didn't run like some other officers did. At this point, I had a superfluous background, and they're looking at it going, holy shit, okay, this guy's good. So they brought me on, and it was one of the happiest moments of my life to actually get there. Because at this point, I was that guy that when the police needed to dial 911, I got brought in. The problem...
So, I was just listening, like, for the whole entry part of it. But yeah, when he brought up Batman, that's the thing that gets a lot of people. It gets a lot of people. Because Batman is more of a heroic idea than a reality. There is no real Batman. Never will be, never can be. Because reality does not align that way. Everyone has these, fantasies about, like, hell, I've known plenty of people who entered the military because, they saw the posters and they saw the movies and they're like, yeah, I want to be that guy. I want to be that gal. But when they get in, reality is a cold, hard slap in the face. And it's completely different from anything they expected. Me, when I entered the military, I was under no illusions. I had that luxury. Because, my biological father, he was in the Marines. And he was forced recon. He was part of the original guys in Vietnam. And I learned a lot from when he was drunk or sober, just telling me about how it was. And yeah, I knew what I was getting into. A huge amount of people never do. They couldn't have the slightest inkling. They think, oh, just because, I was a wannabe gangster kid in high school, or because they think that the movies represent reality, like Benghazi or American Sniper or something like that. Even Lone Survivor doesn't even come close. If you see the interviews, with Marcus Luttrell, he would tell people, like, they had to, the movie was okay. Because it cannot in any way represent that reality. It's a totally different thing. So that's a humongous disadvantage for a lot of people getting into these kind of professions, for getting into service, because they're under an illusion when they get in. And it's shattered very quickly. And that will either make people or break people. More often than not, it does something in between. I don't know what to describe it as except like a fugue state. They're in the doldrums in their own head. Because they imagined this would be completely different. It was nothing like anything close to it. And so they basically turn themselves into machinery in a certain way. They run their career like clockwork. And I've seen that happen to quite a few people as well. And unfortunately, this is probably going to be something that's going to consistently affect people. It's one thing to get in knowing what you're having a really good idea of what it is to expect. It's a whole other thing to come in under the illusion of what to expect. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's a sad reality. But it does go to show you something. This is especially prevalent in the United States. In other countries, it's a bit different. In the U.S., things are so safe for the average person. So safe, so comfortable, so content, so soft, so easy that people can have those illusions. That's why I'm of two minds to, like, you know, if stuff hits the fan, you know, so to speak, if it all goes, you know, plane-shaped, or if everything starts going to hell in a handbasket, of just trying to rein in my fellow veterans and saying, no, let it burn. Or doing, I guess you would call it the morally or ethically right thing, and doing what you can to contain the flames. But we're too soft. We're too soft. And that has led to all these other problems we got. I think we would be much better off if, you know, if people were more aware. If they were more aware of reality. Because a lot of people nowadays are far removed from it. Far removed. A lot of people don't even know what reality is. Reality is dark, destructive, and chaotic. And a lot of people just ignore it. So I'm of two minds on it, honestly. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? If stuff goes to hell in a handbasket, should I just get myself and my community to just stand by and try to convince them to hold off and just save our own? And let everybody else suffer the consequences of being willfully ignorant? Or should we do the morally and ethically right thing and try to save people that won't even save themselves? But is that morally and ethically good? Just? To save those who would not lift a finger to save themselves? To my mind, it's not, but someone else might have another idea. But yeah, anyways, besides that tangent, like, I like how he's going through the story. And it's pretty cool. But now we're coming back to the part where he's like, this was the best day of my life. This is what I always wanted to do. I have a feeling that he's going to get somewhere in. And the reality of what he has got himself into is going to strike him hard. I know this has happened to way too many people I know.
Problem was, I didn't realize at the time, a lot of the bureaucracy and a lot of the, I guess for lack of a better term, the buddy fucking that went on was behind the scenes. I didn't realize when I took this team, you know, I was thinking, all right, SEAL Team 6, all right, Delta Force, all right, we're the tightest group ever. We're going to take rounds for one another. We're going to stop the bad guys, get the rapists, get the robbery suspects, take every bad person off the streets at no matter the cost. What I didn't realize when I was getting involved was just a lot of stuff, like everything else in life, just happens to be political, and I had no idea. It really hurts me that I can't get into detail on this because it's a very unique incident in the last 10 years, but bureaucracy, red tape, and unfortunately, from what I've been told, I can't confirm or deny it. Poor leadership allowed some things to happen, which led to this event being a multi-day event, and unfortunately, some members leaving, some members being forced to retire and quit, which made the next person up step in and go, no, this shit can't happen. Which is when I started getting what I was looking at. I was like, okay, new guy's taking charge. What's he got? He stepped in. He says, okay, here's the deal. Put your shit on, get your guns, unload them, make sure they're clear, have a friend check them, get your pistols out, make sure they're checked, have a buddy check them, make sure they're empty. We're going. You've got 5 minutes. We'd roll up, take our shit off, quickly put on our shit, pull on our vest, our helmets, our belts. We get our gas masks, make sure they're ready, store them, show up. Everybody go, okay, here's my gun, it's clear. They look, okay, it's clear. Where's your rifle? Okay, it's my rifle. It's clear, clear. Okay, where's yours? Which apparently freaks a lot of people out. But if you've got tools that you've already cleared, which you've a multiplicative of people checking to make sure your equipment's clear, you're fine. Wasn't an issue. We got this stuff going, and this guy actually started hitting us. He's like, okay, do this. Go. We do it. All right, you fucked that all up. Fix this. You turned right. You shouldn't have turned right. You should have gone left. You weren't paying attention. You followed him. You got to dig your corner. And we were getting that training. We were getting that good stuff. And then it started getting better. It got to the point where with the guy that we had contacts in Delta. He had contact with the SEAL team. One of my favorite things was he actually sent me to Los Angeles, where I trained with some of the best in the world. They had some of the most impressive equipment, some of the best teachers, some of the absolute just savants on close quarters combat and tactical application with equipment utilization and all that. It was the absolute crowning gem of my career at that point, because not only did I get a chance to train with these guys, that was my dream as a child. When I said I was going to be on SWAT team, when I was in middle school, I think early to mid 2000s, there was a movie called SWAT. But it was kind of a cheesy action movie. But looking at it, you'd see this guy, just kind of, he was running, and you could see the entire layout of L.A. And in I think it was January 2017, I was on that mountainside running, looking over, going, holy shit, this is my dream realized. Just kind of running, admiring the view, until my teammate from my state that we got flown over to do the training said, hey, asshole, you've only got a few minutes left, fucking run. I was like, shit. So I had to actually take off and actually finish at that point. But my dream was realized at that point, that this is it. This is your peak moment in life. This is your life goal. Embrace it. So we finished. We went to the training. It was intense. It was hard. I'm kind of non-disclosure. I can't tell the class I was in. I can't tell what we did. But I can tell you I was in a class in January in 17. Yeah, 17. It was fantastic stuff. And I brought that back home. And
dang. It's so crazy to remember that 2000 was 22 years ago. I don't know if y'all could tell, but the gray in my beard is getting there very quickly. But yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing to remember, because I always forget it's been that long. So hearing him say, like, around the time the movie came out, and like telling me that he was in middle school around 2000. Bub, Bub, holy damn. Oh man, that reminds me too, like, I'd already gone overseas by the time that he was like trying to get all this started. Oh man. Wait, I'd been overseas quite a few times before he before he got all this started. But it blows my mind consistently to like remember that, to be reminded of it. Bub. Anyway, gosh, God, I remember that movie too. It was a pretty cool movie. It was pretty cool, I guess. But yeah, he's realizing his dream at this point in the story. Oh man, Bub. Oof. He's living the dream. He is living the dream. But I will say that training with some of the best in the world, that is quite the honor. That is. That's some amazing stuff, my dude. But I have a feeling that'll be some of his better memories.
And again, the politics kind of stepped in the way because I had to go there with my teammate who got sent with me and say, hey, this is the greatest. This is the latest. This is what they're doing. This is the best tactics. This is the gear they've got. Granted, they had 3 helicopters. We don't have enough funds for 1. But hey, this is everything we're doing. And then I got told, no, that's not what we're going to do. I know we sent you there to do everything they could do, everything they've done, everything they've learned. We sent you there. We're not going to use it. We're going to do what we did. We're going to run through house like a bunch of rape tapes. To which I had to also remind them, like, hey, look, I know I'm new guy. I know I'm lowest guy on totem pole. I get it. I have no place to talk. But question, these guys' close quarters combat philosophy is, well, why would you run into a bear's cave and kick it in the balls as hard as you can and hope to win the fight when you could totally play whatever playing field you want and control it? Why would you send guys in? You know what? Let's just, and this is what I actually told them, let's stop there. How many guns do I own? Crickets. Where are my guns hidden? Crickets. Which doors have I reinforced? Being in law enforcement, I've had a couple. I know how burglars get in, and I've kind of prevented my house from having that happen. Crickets. Why aren't you guys listening to me? Like, I'm trying to save our friends' lives here. Like, our strategies are 10 to 15 years in the past. We've got to move up, guys. I would almost beg you to let me do a simunition exercise at my home and see how many of you survive. We can't do this. And I was kind of smacked down and just sort of let it go. But I learned to somewhat adapt and overcome. And a lot of our training, we realized real quick that a lot of it's just the military style. Hey, we're going to fuck with you to make you better. If you could enter, so you could enter a room and you could immediately turn left to check a corner and they'll say, you fucked that up. You didn't turn fast enough. Even if you could have only cleared that faster by being the goddamn Kool-Aid man bursting through 2x4s and drywall going, oh yeah, I see you. You still would have been told it wasn't fast enough. But what gets embarrassing is when a lot of the stuff you tell them kind of comes out in practice. For example, they'll tell you that it's impractical to go up to a door with a shield. I'm the secondary breacher on my team. They'll tell you it's impractical to go up to a door and have your shield guy brace the door as you break the door open. And I said, no, you can do it. You just got to have faith that I can hit it in one swing, which semi-hard, not going to lie, and that your teammate can come up and actually block the door with the shield as your equipment guy comes to throw a camera or a drone or whatever. They said, that's not going to, you can't do that. There's just not enough room. When we literally, for those who've played Rainbow Six, there's a little recon drone you can grab and throw. It looks literally like a Pringles can cut in half with wheels. You can throw it over people. It's literally the drone from Rainbow Six. We literally had...
What's kind of funny is that there's very few gadgets in Rainbow Six that are real-life gadgets. And hilariously enough, I've used similar stuff myself. But because the stuff's such a pain, a lot of the times they'll try to limit what you can have and what you can use depending on the mission. If you're able to convince someone that you need this stuff and whatever your chain of command is can convince them that you need this to make sure this mission has the highest chances of success, then you can get it, yeah. And then there's, of course, some where you just have that stuff on hand. It does come back to like the bureaucracy and the red tape, in the military especially in the military. If a leader can save money, time, and equipment, they're gonna try to cut every corner they can. I'm not gonna lie to anybody about that. But then it comes to you having to play bureaucrat, essentially. You got to convince them that it'll be worth the pain in the neck for them to try to use this piece of equipment and taking the chance that you lose it or it gets screwed up. So, yeah.
Literally had the big guy in front of me. He hit the door. Shield guy was behind us. I was with Shield guy. As the hammer or the ram came back, I stopped it, grabbed the Pringles can bot, and went and hit the guy who had 2 knives in his hand right in the forehead. Between getting pegged by a Pringle can bot and seeing a Shield with flashlights, he didn't know what the hell to do. He dropped both the knives, and Bob's your uncle. We went in and got him. It worked. We talked all the time about strategies of like, well, what if we situation where we can't set up perfectly like we're training? Actually, that'll go another example. We can't just send guys into, oh, here's the scenario, get all kitted up and go. What if guys are trapped, like, not behind enemy lines, but on the front lines, and they can't get their gear? We had a guy take out a 50 cal Desert Eagle and a fucking 500 Smith & Wesson, and he took a woman hostage on top of a staircase. I know I've got a lot of keyboard warriors saying, just rush the staircase. Well, it's a little different when 950 grains of stop gets sent your way. And the problem was we had original responding officers that are on our team that don't have their Kevlar, their helmets, their rifles, nothing. And they're stuck sitting there going, what do we do? Because we never trained for that. Like, there was just so much behind the scenes stuff happening that I just can't believe it happened for as long as it did. I mean, we're getting better and a lot of those things are getting pushed aside and we're training more with different types of environments and conditions and adverse effects, but it's just difficult to fight against because the culture there is also that, yeah, we're on SWAT, we don't teach others how to survive, we're just going to do our own thing. Like, it took forever for some guys to convince our brass, like, hey, look, the stuff we're learning, a lot of the new guys aren't learning. Like, a lot of people don't realize just how some simple shit can get you killed. I've taken my SWAT training seriously, and I've taken it onward with my field training officer role. And I'm in charge of training like the new guys, like I was years ago. And the amount of stuff we could teach other cops is just basic survival things is just astronomical. I had some guy that, I swear to God, it was just a massive window. And he goes to knock on the door for a warrant on a robbery suspect. And he just kind of just reaches over and, police department, and stands there in front of this giant glass window, and I'm looking at him with my insides screaming, dude, you're going to get killed. Don't do that. Or we'll have guys that'll walk up to closets and be like, oh, I wonder if the suspect's in this closet, and just open it while standing right in front of it. Like, there's...
So this comes to TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures. So during my time in the Army, we trained a shitload. And you're talking spending just around 18 hours a day training on one scenario. Next day, you're training on a different scenario. Next day, different scenario. Oh, and over your time of training, you start to have kind of like a flashcard of all these different scenarios in your head. By the time you make a leadership position, and then if you move on to bigger and better things, then by that time, everyone's basically on the same page no matter what's going on. Not to mention, if you're in a leadership position, no matter where you are, you're easily able to adjust your guys. You're easily able to adjust your team very quickly, rapidly, and on the spot. So, like he's describing right here, it comes down to TTPs. We didn't have that problem later on in my career because as we advanced in training and TTPs got tightened up and we started going more outside the box. So when I got in, we still trained to fight a conventional war against another uniformed, regimented military. We were not ready for unconventional warfare, for the asymmetrical warfare. We weren't ready for that. We were bumbling our way through and doing our best and learning from that. Later on in my career, the lessons we had learned over the last 15 years was implemented across the force. And you would train on every possible conceivable scenario you could come across. And that included stuff just like what he's describing, where someone takes a hostage and you have to react on how to disarm them, get them to mess up, or take them by surprise. Or, in a few cases, just take the chance and take the shot. And quite usually, we would take the shot when there was literally no other option to be had at that point in time. And yeah, this out-of-the-box thinking didn't come along until a bit later. So I know exactly what he's talking about here. I know exactly what he's talking about. But it ceased to be a problem after a certain amount of time. Because of what we had learned, we started implementing that in the training manuals. And then on top of that, using hard-won experience from our combat veterans. So, after I came back from a few rounds, on top of TTPs, once my guys had got those TTPs down and the basic fundamentals were mastered to the nth degree, we started going into, quite usually based off of my experience and scenarios that possibly could be come across that would not fit in the manual. And there's quite a few of them. But that's something that's it's going to take a minute for that to become a standard procedure, right? So yeah, it comes down to TTPs. And it comes down to just that grueling training to get that muscle memory and to basically make those flashcards up in the head, essentially. Because after you train on certain things for so long and they stack on top of each other, it's kind of like having a Rolodex in your head where scenario Charlie has popped up. Okay, that flashcard appears in your head. You know what you're going to do. To an extent, circumstances change on the ground, and, engagements can change from minute to minute, sometimes in seconds. And then the Rolodex flips again, you're responding a different way. So yeah, I get exactly where he's coming from.
So much basic survival stuff we could teach people, but it was one of those cultural wars of, well, I'm on SWAT, I don't need to teach you. Which sounds pedantic in a way, but that was somewhat the mindset. And fortunately, a lot of these guys are breaking free, getting away from it, and going from it. But it's just one of those never-ending uphill battles of dealing with it. And I mean, I've had my good times with it. We've had lots of call-outs where they see us roll up in the bulletproof car and go, probably not winning this one, and they come out. Or we've had to launch tear gas or get people to come out, which is always what we look for. Shifting gears a little bit, people see SWAT as like the counter-terrorist, the CTs versus Ts in real life of, oh, they're going to go in, they're going to kill all the people, and everything's going to be good, and there'll be blood everywhere, hoorah. No, one of the hardest things we've had to overachieve on was putting our perspective to the public that we are a life-saving entity. A good example to draw from is again, going back to the movie SWAT, there was what they called the Polish hostage, which was the guy that said, if you come in, I'm going to shoot myself. If you don't go away, I'm going to shoot at you. He was his own hostage. I mean, police doctrine usually says, oh, I see you're trying to kill yourself. I'm sorry, I'm going to walk away and get you a mental health professional that's going to stand 3 blocks away and call you, okay, bye, and back off. But we can't do that. We can't risk you killing your neighbors or yourself. We need to help you. So a lot of the times we get called for those sort of situations where people barricade themselves in. Eventually we convince them to come out. We don't, in those situations, in a lot of situations, we don't want to kill anybody. We have a very strong sense of justice. And if you've done something wrong, whether it be as minor as dealing weed and getting caught multiple times, my opinion, or something is, I guess something as heinous as, like I've been involved in raids that takes down people that are sending 5-year-olds off to be, and it boils my blood. But as a sense of what's right and what's wrong, I have to abide by what the law is. And when our team gets activated, there's a lot of people, and I'm going to follow up with a couple of stories that just sit there and go, wouldn't the world be better off if we just killed them? And a lot of us have to go, look, dude, we're all thinking the same thing. Society won't blame us, but we have to uphold law and order. They're dangerous. We have to bring them to court. We have to uphold what's right. Get it out of your system. You got to think straight, dude. We cannot do this. And that shit gets hard, man. Like, it's that part of the job gets fucking hard. Like, even when it's your own. Like I said, 8 years in law enforcement, 4 years on SWAT. I've seen an interesting bounce back and forth from my career. For a little bit of time, just switching gears back from SWAT to regular patrol. When I was a young patrolman, as I was applying for SWAT, one of the questions is, how do you react to death? How do you deal with dead bodies? How do you react to gruesome murders? How do you react to some of the most heinous shit that humanity can do? And for a set amount of time, I'm not going to give it because my department will find me immediately, but for a set amount of time, I had something to the effect of like 14 dead bodies back to back to back to back to back to back, just machine gunning off. It was just unfortunate luck. It was my city. I was the available unit. I was the young stud doing all the calls and answering stuff, and they just sent me to these. But there's a certain aspect to death when you get kind of used to seeing a dead body that sort of sticks with you a little bit. And my very first dead body was super simple. It was a man in hospice. There was a miscommunication. They called the PD. We showed up. Hospice came, took care of the corpse, did everything that was required. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that looks no different than my great-grandfather when he passed away. I don't see what's so difficult. And because I'm an idiot, I said that, and the world, universe, whatever you believe in, made it happen. And I wasn't so lucky on the next one. So to follow up with that, and I promise is leading into what I'm talking about, but the next corpse I got to deal with was a gentleman who felt his family had abandoned him, and he lived in less than great housing. So what he had done was taken and that was one of my first touches into death. And then that was sort of led into the human psyche of if somebody wants something done, they're going to do it. My next one after that was a guy. It doesn't stop there. I mean, you get time after time, high school kid getting stupid, driving too fast on the highway, college student drunk trying to race somebody else and not being able to pass over in time before they smoke a semi. I've had other cops and federal agents and shit, just in the most gruesome ways. Like, there's a notorious Facebook video that cycles of a guy that this is a funny story in a fucked up way, and I'm sorry to put it that way, but there was a Fed pin guard that had spent it was something ludicrous, like $50,000 out of his girlfriend or fiance's bank account, and he had some mental problems, and he thought, I'm gonna have to pay her back at some point, but I don't have to. And in this parking lot that got investigated by the FBI, he takes a double-barrel 20 gauge, puts it under his chin, and just slaps both the triggers, and GG. We show up, and I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at the fact that I showed up, and there's some paramedics around the car, and they're looking around. They're like, they look around at each other, and they go, we gotta get in there and check his pulse. Now, I'm just a stupid fucking cop. I get it. But when your memory of your first date, the first boob you touched, the math quiz you took in high school, and what you did for a living before your tax documents took over your life is on the ceiling of your truck, I got a funny feeling you probably don't need to check for a pulse. FBI agreed. My supervisors agreed. The Fed pin agreed. One dumbass sergeant said, yeah, you need to break that window and check for a pulse. Okay. And that's when I learned that apparently even you as a citizen, or myself, I don't know if you're an actual citizen or not, but whatever, A normal human being can't walk up to somebody whose head has been attached or detached from their body and go, yeah, he's dead. Apparently that's a doctor's only job. So despite the fact that his face had left his skull, they still said, no, we need to go check for a pulse just to make sure that he's actually dead. Terrific. Of course, they...
And yeah, so I've told this story before, I believe, and I won't get into all the grisly details, but suffice to say, from here, this entire area of this guy was gone. Completely gone. So after the engagement was concluded and we couldn't find any more enemy in the area, I walked by this dude. I could still hear him breathing. I have no idea how, no idea why, but he was breathing. Give me a sec. Anyway, to continue what I was saying. So I walked by this guy. From here, gone. Completely gone. And he was still breathing. And damn it, unfortunately, got to follow the laws of armed conflict and the law and all that other garbage. We end up having to put him on a stretcher and then get him medevaced because that's what we're supposed to do. Now, to my mind, I was thinking, this guy's better off, kicking it. But, of course, you're not allowed to do that. Anyway, but yeah, I would not, look, just off of that and the several experiences I had afterwards, I would not put it past somebody surviving what seems like something impossible. Even though they aren't there, somehow their body's still functioning. Anyway, long story short, the dude later died he died shortly after, reaching the aid station. So, yeah. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous what human beings have the capacity to survive. Not to mention, though, that the guy was probably also hopped up on 10 different drugs. So that probably helped him out quite a bit. So yeah, look, I get that. I get the initial reaction where it's like, well, what's the point? There's no brains left. There's nothing to run the meat puppet. Well, look, I mean, people have survived much worse. Surprisingly.
Of course, they break the window. Oh, he doesn't have a pulse. So they wrap that up. FBI takes over. They appreciate our professionalism on one of their own federal employees snuffing himself and going forward. But no, even after all that stuff, man, there's certain things that even being on a SWAT team or being on just regular law enforcement, that's just, you try to explain to people and it's hard to paint the image in an age where we're all demons. Like, these people that are saying we're racist and we do this, they don't see the stuff we do behind the scene of, hey, what's going on, man? Well, my wife just threw me out. This is a bunch of bullshit and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter, white, black, Hispanic, whatever. Okay, cool, dude. Look, I get it. I'm human. I'm married. I understand. She's upset. Can I take you somewhere? Can I take you to what do you want? You want to go to a sports bar and just hang out for a little bit, cool off? You want to go to a hotel, motel? We can maybe get you a room or the lobby for a few minutes, calm down, all that stuff. But those are like the uphill battles we have to fight. And of course, I'm not here to say that all cops are good. I've met some shitheads. We've actually fired a few from my own department for being domestic batterers or drinking and driving, like the crazy shit. And it's just this never-ending battle of what they perceive as what's right or what's wrong or whatever. And then going back to SWAT a little bit, it kind of falls back on us because if we get called out, we take the brunt of what's going on to a more extreme. Like I mentioned earlier, we are absolutely a life-saving unit. We don't want people to kill themselves. We want people to come out of a crisis, if it's multiple, or whatever the incident is, come home after they've gotten the appropriate treatment and live their lives. We don't want to shoot people. It's like cops training firearms. They always say, well, cops don't train firearms enough. Well, I agree. But again, our goal isn't to go out there and go, license and registration, pow! Oh man, new record. No, that's not what we're out there to do. We're out there to help people.
License and registration. Oh, pow! Ooh, new record. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Bub. Bub. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Oh, man, that's hilarious. People may think it's screwed up, but look. The sad fact of the matter is that there's actually a huge amount of people stupider than me that make up the population of the United States that actually believe that stuff. They actually believe that police purposely seek to just go shoot people. They literally believe that. The majority of our population's stupid. It really is. And that's coming from somebody who's pretty stupid. So, seriously though. Seriously. And this comes back to what I was saying before. We're so soft here in the U.S. We're so content and comfortable that, you know, we believe what very few people say about other people. We believe it. We have that luxury. In other countries, if someone says something to somebody else, they're like, are you stupid? Like, seriously. I mean, oh, man. But it's pretty funny. Whoa, new record.
But it's fighting against the narrative, and that's one of the big things is getting that image changed, which we'll probably never be able to do for a few years. But even then, it's just sort of this never-ending roundabout of dealing with what's going on, politics, policy, moving forward with what we've got. One of my instructors I had when I was on SWAT was he was killed on an impromptu, I guess you'd call it, raid on a murder suspect. And so, not to dox myself, I got to kind of careful here, but long story short, there was a murder suspect, and they had the opportunity to stop a vehicle while he was alone, and they didn't. The team, I guess you'd call it, let it go. It went to an apartment complex, which was multi-story. Didn't stop him then, and he went inside, and for whatever reason, I don't know if they were trying to figure out what room he went into exactly, or where he was going, or which room specifically, but instead of kind of holding off, getting us on standby, ready to apprehend a subject that we had reason to believe had actually murdered somebody hours beforehand, had no regard for human life, I don't know. And it's speculation. I don't know if somebody ran up to the door to see where he was going. I don't know if they ran up to apprehend him. This part I don't know too much. I just know that he was approached by other officers who tried to stop him, and in the spirit of the moment, he drew the pistol out that he used to kill somebody else and shot at other officers, and the guy that tried to stop him was spared, but the bullet went over his shoulder and hit one of our instructors right in the cheekbone, and it went through his skull, severed his carotid, and just like that, he dropped, and that was the end. His friends tried to bring him back. They tried to drag him away, and more details spared. It obviously wasn't successful. By the time our team got activated, we knew we were looking for. We found the apartment complex. There was a pool of blood, and one of the team leaders came up just out of a fucking Chainsaw Massacre movie. He was covered in blood from his chest to his feet. He told us what happened. I'm not going to say what he had said, but he was livid. Yeah, his friend had just been killed in front of him, and he tried to spare him, but it was too late. There's nothing you can do when your carotid's separated in the middle of your skull. And that was sort of my foray, my taste, I guess, if you will, into, hey, cops are great. We're here to stop violence and save people, but we're not fucking Superman. And that was kind of the... I guess you'd call it the first knock of the Grim Reaper on my door. Just as a soft reminder that, hey, always here. Just waiting. Go ahead. The sands are falling in my hourglass. And the team kind of had to work through it. The poor guy, it's his own business, but he's not doing great after that. So there's been more time, and I took it seriously, and I took okay, I have to take more of this SWAT shit to these guys. I can't have this mistake happen again. I can't have new guys running up to doors getting shot. I can't have these children, these 21-year-olds whose lives just getting started, going up and just getting killed by these pieces of shit that are waiting for them to answer doors. So I took it more seriously, and I'm teaching the new guys more and more. Hey, don't do this. Hey, knock on this side of the door. Hey, do not wait for them to answer the door and stick something out there. Hey, back off a little bit. Keep eyes on your back. Hey, don't do this by yourself. Have this. Have this. Have these tourniquets. Have this med kit. Have this ready. Have a backup plan. Have a friend. Have an escape route. Just all the stuff I can throw out there. And I'm getting all these, yeah, dude, you seem super fucking paranoid, from all these new guys coming in not realizing that the job can be serious. And I start talking with my SWAT guys, and they say, yeah, look, dude, it is what it is. We get it. There's 10 different ways to take a house. 8 of them can be right. 2 of them can be wrong. All we can do is hope to give these guys this information that they take with them and make themselves better. And I said, okay, yeah, you're not wrong. Going back just for a minute in time, this particular person had family out in Los Angeles who worked and knew some people that managed to get me and another friend into these. We had no business being in there. Like, this school was reserved for, Delta operators and SEAL team guys and all this stuff. And he was just an awesome dude. I still miss him. And he had family out in LA that treated us like family, and they were good people. But
And unfortunately, shit like that's always going to happen. No matter how well you train, how good you are in your TTPs, how perfect and precise you try to get, there's always going to be that upteenth time where something goes wrong. Either someone had the bright idea to have a dishka inside of a building pointing at a door, or there's someone with an S vest just waiting next to the doorway because they know that you're just going to breach, and then that's when they decide to jump in the middle of your team. There's always something. Always something. And that's the huge thing in urban ops. If you're in a conventional engagement and you're on a hill and the enemy's in the valley below you and you're lighting them up, it's a different story. Urban ops is a whole different level of danger. No matter how good you are, there's always going to be something that gets you. Always. No matter how well prepared you are. And unfortunately, stuff like this happens all the time. All the time. And it's always the most unexpected things ever. Like like I mentioned earlier with the Dishka. Uh, 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 who would have thought that they would have it stashed away in the second story of the building, aimed at the doorway? Who would have thought? I sure as heck wouldn't have. Because it's a major pain in the butt to get it there. And second off, to set it up. Bub. We had no idea. We had no idea. Until we breached. And then you heard that thing going off. You knew it was serious. Or having that girl, like, literally, I mean, literally jump. They literally jumped a team with an S vest right as they breached. As soon as the second man was getting inside the room, trying to grab her, third and fourth man were directly behind him, trying to get out of the fatal funnel. And getting past that and trying to learn and plan for it later is damn hard. Really damn hard. But yeah, stuff like this happens all the time. No matter how good you are at the job, no matter how close to perfection you try to achieve, there's always going to be something that's going to get you or somebody else. And that's just the reality of it.
So I've got a friend of mine who's been itching to get on SWAT. He's been deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria. Super good dude. He'd give you the shirt off his back if he could. He he bleeds excellence. He's a good guy. But so the the day it happened, it was a typical day. You didn't expect anything of it. It's like nothing else. The day you get the phone call for your mother, sister, brother, your family gets your phone call. It was nothing different. We'd gone out. We were ready for the day. Told my team, hey, I'm going out on shift. I'll let you know. I'll keep the radio busy. Something comes up, I'll activate you guys, and we'll just go get it. As we're going out, we get sent to a bogus call, a little domestic at some bullshit hotel. We're slowly rolling there because they've already said parties have separated. They're on their way. And it kind of sits with you, like the moment you were there for a major event in your life. Like everybody talks about 9/11, which just literally within only an hour or so ago just ended, and it was the 20th anniversary. There's things you don't forget, but I can still see it clear as day driving down one of our main streets. And it was almost insulting how quiet and calm it came across was. Any unit able to start for the FBI building. We were getting advised of an officer down, shots fired, suspect believed to have maybe been hit in this vehicle that they're in. And I'm sitting there and I have a new guy with me who's almost 10 years my junior. And I can already see him turning white. And I kind of glance over at him and I look at my radio and I go, there's no fucking way that was just put out as quiet as it was. A guy also served on our SWAT team. Next thing I know, the guy that I'm grooming just screams past me like Sonic the Hedgehog on fucking meth, just gone. Okay, this is happening. Throw it and drive. Try to follow him. And it is what it is. You train up for it, but until it's thrown in your lap, you don't know if you're ready for it or not. And basically, this guy was a psychopath and decided that he thought because the FBI was watching him that the only course of action was to flip his shit and throw improvised explosives at the building. My friend was leaving the building, and in the midst of the improvised explosives being thrown, realized what was happening. And he tried to fight back, and we think he got 1, maybe 2 rounds on target. The other guy hit him, and he wasn't wearing his vest at the time, unfortunately, and hit the ground, and this... hard to find the words for how I feel. Just going to default back to person. Decided that it was an okay idea to walk up on this guy that he had already shot and execute him in the fucking back of his head. And as he fled, he had returned fire, it got hit, and he tried to flee. So at this point, being on duty, I'm responsible, kind of, for alerting SWAT of what had just happened. At this point, it had occurred at literally a federal level. And I was tunnel visioned. I figured if we get there, there's something we can do. I've had it ingrained. There's always something you can do. Fix it. No excuses. Deal with it. Do what you can. End the problem. Move on. I had shown up. My buddy, who's literally been applying, was literally like 0.5 seconds in front of me. We both jump out. We ran up, and we recognized the person who it was. Him and I were both... well, it's hard to find words when you're given 1 second to establish what has happened. It's your friend. Fix it. They're dying. Solve the problem of what just happened. Make sure they don't come back and do it to you. Find witnesses. Make sure the threat doesn't re-escalate. Contact supervisors. Notify SWAT. Get the team ready. Activate whatever plan you guys have as a contingency. And it all just came flooding in. Even with all the death, the gangbangers that shoot each other, the tweakers that stab each other to death, the people that beat the fuck out of each other with concrete blocks or bats. I can tell you, unless you've been in the military, which I haven't, I'm not even going to pretend. I was one of the lucky few that's, lucky, unlucky, whatever, that stayed out of that and did college. Even with him, who was in the military, who's not going to be named. Sorry. Shit gets a little fucked up when you're, it gets a little fucked up when you're trying to hold one of your own's head together, you know? Sorry, poor phrasing. It's, yeah, it fucking sucks. Okay, sorry. Yeah, the human body's interesting, you know. It's amazing the shit we can endure and try and survive. He'd basically taken a round to the head, and yeah, his body was fighting to stay in it, and man, sorry, it's been a little while since I talked about this one.
You're good, man.
But he yeah, he hung in there. He even after being God damn it. Even after being hit in the head, his body stuck in there. It had been about 1 minute after everything happened. My friend and I went up, and fuck, man. There's only so much you can do. Even in our SWAT classes, they teach you, like, you know, I think it's the March Protocol, which is the military. It's fuck, I can't remember. I'm so fucked up right now. I'm sorry. It's like massive hemorrhage, and then the H comes to the back, which is heat, to make sure the body doesn't lose heat, and then arterial or airway, and then respirations, and then cardio, all that shit. That fucking shit goes out the window, dude. When it's one of your own guys, you'd fucking saw off your right leg if they could make it, and it's fucked up because it's not like he was our best, not even just me, but our best friend. Like, we wouldn't go out and drink with him on the regular, but he was one of those guys that you'd see and be like, you just were fucking old friends catching up from school. And but yeah, so now you've been sent into this active shooter situation where dude just got fucking hit in the fucking head. You see brain matter and you already know, shit's fucked. We gotta do something. We gotta, I forget the 5 stages of grief, but you just jump straight to bargaining. It's like, no, we're gonna stop him. We're gonna save it. We're gonna fucking get him stabilized. We've got to do something to get him to where he can at least be stable enough for his family to say goodbye, even if you know it's not true. And that's kind of where we were at. But I'd already put the note out like, hey, this just happened. We need people now on the ground. Let's go. And again, just defaulting back, our team got a lot of good training. Like, there were some people I was worried they were going to find this guy and just straight up execute him for what he did. And the guys are great. Like, I was stuck in the moment, but they found the guy. Apparently he got hit and they found him and drug him to justice. But fuck, man. Like, it's one of those things that kind of brings you back to gravity of just sort of, you know, he was one of the best that got trained. He was fantastic. There was almost nobody that had more training than he did, and he just got smoked by some piece of shit that decided that today's the day I'm going to kill somebody. And we had to come back as a team and sit back and reevaluate and go, you know, all the stuff we're doing, it's right, it's wrong. Breaking doors down for no knocks, breaking doors down after 20-second knocks. We got to figure this out. And even as a team, it was one of those things that we kind of sat back and went, yeah, you know, we're good, but we're not fucking Superman. And what kind of sucked from that was I got delegated to talk to the kids of the guy that was fucking killed in the way he was. And yeah, that was no fun. And I had to debrief the team, and it's kind of hard to go to a bunch of guys that you trust with your life and to say, hey, we're all literally about 125 grains away from being room temperature, so just take that as you will. Take the training more seriously, and it's humbling in a way. But a lot of guys kind of realize that and go, yeah, you're not wrong. But yeah, I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, between those and dealing with your own getting killed, there's always some fun to be had, some jokes to be had, some things to be thrown out, but it's a mixed bag, you know. It's like being here's a good example. It's like being Superman. You've got all these great gifts, talents, and utilities at your side, but if you're not paying attention or being careful, Lois Lane gets thrown off the top of a tower and you go up to save her, you cut her in fucking half because you're Superman flying at Mach 2 up to catch her, and she's just a normal human being. We can do the greatest things on Earth. We can pull miracles out of our ass and save people, but if we're not careful about how we go and do it, either, like my couple of friends, we wind up dead, or we doing more harm than good, which, thank God, somehow we've been just treading that line and doing great. Nobody's been hurt or killed or seriously injured in our years, but I think at this point our luck's running out with all the many times we've been shot at, had scenarios against our odds and even the public against us, and still came out on top. So it's been an interesting tale. and an interesting career, and I can only hope that we're fortunate enough to just keep pushing forward. Everything that's happened negative in the past is just that. Something that's happened in the past and never comes back again, and we learn from it. But is what it is the nature of the beast and the sacrifices we have to make to just hope that we're some of the lucky few that make it home the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that until retirement. So, yeah. Well,
There we have it, folks. SWAT team officer talks about his job in VR. Bub, there's a lot of parallels there. There's a lot of parallels there. And, look, his experience with doing what he's doing, it's not at all too far removed from mine and from the experience of a lot of us in uniform. So here's the thing. What we share with law enforcement and such is we share the commonality of having to literally live with, face, and accept reality. And yeah, hearing him talk about his buddy is hard. It's real hard. I've been there, done that. But yeah, like I said in the beginning of the video, it's not too far removed at all. We share a lot of commonalities. And that's why a lot of people that leave the military end up joining law enforcement. It's a very similar environment, similar atmosphere, and it's very similar to what we do. Me, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could. Because I'm not the sheepdog type. I'm just not. If someone's done something wrong and I know they've done wrong and they're a bad person, I have no qualms with removing them. None whatsoever. I'll take that on myself. But to be law enforcement, you have to have a sheepdog mentality. I don't have that. I don't think I ever could. I really don't. So that's why, like, when it comes to law enforcement and such, there's that mutual respect there. And hearing him talk about his buddy, Bub, I've been there. More times than I can always remember. So yeah, salute to you, sir. Salute to you. Because you're one of the few, even fewer than the military actually, hilariously enough. People want to talk about the 3% or 2%. Police are even less than 1%. So yeah. What do y'all think? And coming back to his last story about his buddy. Bub. People, and he's right about that. He is very right. It's impossible to get just a regular, normal person, an average person who doesn't do anything like this and hasn't encountered it in their life to understand. Because they can't. They can try to sympathize, but they'll never be able to empathize. They'll never understand. And nowadays it seems like a good amount of them don't want to. Which, you know what, is fine. That's fine. But the people that do this, and those of us who have put our lives on the line for these strangers, we most certainly deserve more. We're human too. So is he. But people choose to act like we aren't. And that's their choice. When stuff goes to hell in a handbasket, look, who is there really left to defend? Y'all tell me that. Is it worth it, him risking his life when people in their own communities don't even contribute? When the people that enable these things to happen more and more by not taking action in their own communities? Is it worth it? Y'all let me know what you think. That's just my, immediate thoughts coming back to it. There we go. This is from AZEAL's channel. Go give him a like, a join, and subscribe. And yeah, let me know what y'all think. Alright, y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is. You like getting this wake-up call? You like hearing me tell y'all how much we have in common? You like him or me? Or hate us? Either way. Doesn't really matter. Then please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Then hit the real subscribe button. Call the notification bell so you guys get you'll actually get notifications more often if you do that. And there's a button below the there's a button that's right below the screen next to the subscribe button. It says join. Become a member of the channel and support it directly. And if enough people do that, then I can just take more and more time off to do more content like this. This is for y'all, not me. So yeah, that being said, be good. Seriously, be good. There's enough hurt in this world. Really try to understand what being good is. Not enough people even know what that means. They think good is a flavor. Be safe. Never compromise on safety and security. Like he said, anyone and everyone is only a second away from ending up room temperature. Never compromise. And make a good life for yourselves. Seriously. Too many of us sacrifice too much for people to just be how the majority of the population is. We gave our youth away. Time will never get back. And the possibility of other lives that will never be realized. And a lot of us make the ultimate sacrifice every day. You would think people would appreciate that. But I'm not so sure. So yeah, that being said, I will see you on the next one.